What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Inside D3 show. D3.com. Also, all right. Ooh, my knee. Okay. Watch all of our episodes. You can listen to them on the podcast at iTunes. Send help. Send help. If it's your. This is crazy. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Inside D3 show. I'm your host, Morgan Cheatham, back with a brand new intro for you guys. If you're one of our new viewers, then thank you for checking us out for the first time. If you're one of our day one viewers, then we appreciate you sticking around since the beginning. So before we get started today, make sure you check us out on our website, InsideD3.com. Follow us on our Instagram and Twitter at D3Inside. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Inside D3 Athletics, where you can find all of our episodes as well. If you happen to be on the go and can't watch our videos, you can listen to our podcasts on iTunes, Spotify, and Anchor. Also, be sure to check out the Mascot of the Week with Sam and any news that might drop in the meantime as well. And we got some good stuff planned for you guys for the summer, so we're definitely looking forward to that as well. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys, so hopefully you enjoy the show. So today we are here with Jessica Huntley. She is the commissioner of the Atlantic East Conference. Jessica, thank you for coming on the show. And how are you doing today?
Sure. Thank you, Morgan, for having me here today. I'm excited to chat with you, and I'm doing all right. Thanks.
For sure. Good to hear. So I want to talk first about, just your journey and your story through athletics. So tell me a little bit about, your education background, some of your work experience, and then if you have any playing or coaching experience, you could talk about that as well.
Sure. I feel like I've had a long journey in a short time. So I was a Division III student athlete at York College. I played basketball there for Coach Whitman, and got really started there. I was on the National Student Athlete Advisory Committee, so I got to go to the NCAA convention. I got to represent York College, the Capital Athletic Conference, and that's really where I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to work in college athletics. I want to give back to the student athletes. This is what a cool way to have, go about your profession. So after that, I needed to get an internship for my undergrad, similar to like student teaching. I had to do a full semester. So I decided to do that my fall after my senior year, basically. And I went up to Harvard, and I was a men's basketball operations, basically what Adobo does now. They didn't have those as frequently back in the day. So I was the operations intern for the men's basketball team at Harvard for a year. And then I jumped over back to Division III. I took a internship through the NCAA Ethnic Minority and Women's Internship Program with the Great Northeast Athletic Conference, which is in Boston. So I stayed in Boston for 2 more years, worked with Joe Walsh, one of the best, learned a lot from Joe, and realized conference office was something different and something I hadn't really thought about. And so he opened up, a new door for me and thought about that. While I was at the GNAC, I also got my master's degree at Boston College. And after that all was completed, I was like, what's next? And Division III provided another amazing opportunity for me at Bay Path, now Bay Path University. It was Bay Path College then, and that's in Western Massachusetts. So it's a small Division III, all women's institution. And I was hired as the assistant athletic director and assistant basketball coach there, women's basketball coach. That was also an NCAA grant-funded position through the strategic matching grant. So I spent 2 years there. I actually was the head women's basketball coach for 1 year. I had never really aspired to be a basketball coach. When I got offered the assistant position, I was like, sure, it's great to give back and really get to know the student athletes on a very different level. Looking back, I'm very glad I had that opportunity. I met some really wonderful people, had some really great student athletes. I can't say I was the most successful coach. I also realized that coaching is really hard. But it gave me a good perspective on, now I'm working with coaches on a regular basis. So I have a little bit of, I can relate to them a little bit. And then from there, I took a position with the ECAC as the director of governance for Division III. So again, maintaining that Division III. And I ended up moving back to the Pennsylvania area. I lived in Philadelphia and got to know a ton of different athletic directors and communications directors in Division III, which led me to the Centennial Conference. Again, I say it's been a long journey in a short time, but all fantastic opportunities. And I stayed at the Centennial for 6 years as the assistant and then the associate director there under Steve Ulrich, and another great mentor for me. And so when the Atlantic East position opened up, I applied and got the job. So I've been here for almost 2 years now.
Sure. Yeah. Shout out to Steve too, because we had him on the show a couple weeks ago. So we definitely appreciate him too.
Yeah, he's great.
So I want to talk a little bit about that role as commissioner now. So what's kind of the daily, job look like for you on, a regular day?
Pre-COVID-19 or post-COVID-19?
Let's do both.
Okay. It's funny. I feel like I knew exactly what the role was like as an associate commissioner. And then I'm sure everyone says this, when you actually sit in the seat, it is a very different feeling. You think you understand everything that goes into it, but just managing the different people, managing the different issues that come up. You hear about them as the associate, but then when you become the commissioner, you're like, wow, I guess I'm the one that has to answer the questions. So I feel like I'm putting out a lot of fires, not necessarily big fires, just, what's this compliance question? What's this? We've got a sportsmanship, whatever it may be. I feel like I'm on the phone a lot more than I ever expected to be. Just dealing with different questions, being a guide for my institutions. I want to be that sounding board for them. I want to be able to be a resource for them. So whatever capacity that looks like, I want to be able to be there for them to assist them. So I think I'm doing a lot of that. And sometimes that takes up more of my day than anticipated. And then, everything revolves around the championships. And the other thing that probably takes up a lot of my time that I also didn't realize was setting up for meetings, setting up for our ADs meetings. We meet 5 times a year. So making sure we have all the materials, all that stuff ready to go. And they're in a really good spot when we get to the meeting, that they're not, we're not just spinning our wheels. I want to be able to present some really viable options for them. Ultimately, they're the ones going to make the decisions. But the more prepared I can be, the better the meetings go, and the more, the more movement in a good direction we're able to have. And then, obviously I have my president's meetings, and we have those twice a year, and they take even more prep time, just making sure I have all my T's crossed, I's dotted. And post-COVID, we've been meeting as an ADs committee once a week and presidents once a month. So I'm doing a lot of prep work, and just making sure I can be a resource and an expert for them as it relates to return to play, as it relates to budget impacts, just trying to kind of think big picture. So hopefully that answers kind of the day-to-day. It varies, and in conference life, it's a little different than on a campus. We have ebbs and flows. When we're in championship season, it's all go. And then when it's kind of like September or December, when championships have just ended and the new season's just getting into their kind of like their non-conference games, that's a slower time for us to refresh and get ready for the next season.
Yeah. So obviously, the AAC is a very new conference. So what was that process like? What's the backstory behind the foundation of it? And then also, how were you able to get new teams on board for it as well?
Sure. So I was not a part of the process when they originally formed. So that was, the work of the athletic directors and presidents. They saw a need for some change for various reasons. I think there was just some differences. I mean, if you look at the CAC, there were differences in public versus private resources. The CSAC, I think resources were also they were just so different. So I think that these 7 institutions really, really look similar. And I can say that this is probably the most similar group of institutions I've ever worked with. And there's something really refreshing about that. They came together for the right reasons. Their athletic parity, their institutional parity. I mean, the institutions can't look much more similar, in my opinion. I'm sure, it's funny as we get into it, you start to see the difference, but the difference is so much less than most conferences have to deal with. And that's, in some ways, that's a really, really nice thing to have, because everyone's fighting the same battles. Everyone's on a very similar page. So anyways, they came together for those reasons. They came together because they looked all very similar. They had similar resources, similar mission statements, and they all wanted the same thing. And obviously regional play also it was a factor as well. So they all came together. I think it had been a conversation for a long time for some of those institutions, and it was just finding the right fit for more of those institutions to get together. So the timing was right, and that's, important in most things in life, timing. So those 7 institutions came together, and I think they formed in officially January 2018. And then they hired me in June 2018. Sorry. I feel like my days and weeks right now are all confused. And then, so I got hired in June 2018, and then we started competition that fall.
Gotcha. So I want to just ask another question that you made me think of was, what are some of the things that you guys are thinking about as far as like expansion, or is there any thoughts of expansion in the future?
Sure. I think that's a really great question, and one that we've talked about a lot. It's been my number one goal. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to check that one off the books yet. Now, there's been a lot of reasons. I mean, we've had some real interest. We've had people even apply, and my presidents and to my AD's credit, they really stuck to their guns and what made sense. At the end of the day, conferences that just add to add usually end up falling apart in some way, shape, or form. So I give them a lot of credit for staying true to who we are and sticking to a mission and a philosophy that makes sense for us. So we continue to have really great conversations. Right now, though, with everything going on, those conversations have kind of come to a halt. No institution is really looking to make drastic changes right now, if they don't have to. So, it continues to be a top priority for us. Now, we have added some affiliate members, which has been fantastic, in the sport of men's golf and field hockey. And now we're going to have some more in swimming and diving as well next year. So those have been really good additions to our conference, and they've really put in some small band-aids for right now. And they're great institutions, and we're excited about those partnerships. So there have been some baby steps in the right direction, and someday we will get more members. But at the end of the day, our 7, we're small but we're mighty, and we're having a really good time. I mean, I'll give you a little bit of point of reference. In year 1, every single campus won a championship, which is pretty,
that's big, actually.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is something to be said for that. And, there's something also to be said with working with 7 institutions. We can all get on the same page really quickly. We're able to maneuver very quickly, pivot very quickly, with all the things that are going on right now. It's easier to get 7 moving in the same direction than 14. So there is some benefit to it as well.
Yeah, for sure. And even I think what's so important about your conference is most of those teams were so competitive even before they made it there, So I played against a lot of those teams, and they've been, top tier in our division for a while now. So I think that's great to see for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess I'll also throw out there, I mean, in year 1, we won a national championship too. And I'm pretty sure not many conferences can say that. So that's something we like to hang our hat on too, So I think I think it all happened for the right reasons. And we're sticking to, like I said, our philosophy and our mission. And we'll continue to push through.
For sure. So I want to talk a little bit about, just some things that you've learned from being in so many leadership positions, in your life. What are some of the takeaways that you've had from those?
Sure. I think for me, I really like to learn from the different leaders that I've had, use them as resources. I think some of the biggest takeaways I've had is, just don't be afraid to ask for help. People are really willing to help out. And, in a new role as a commissioner, in a new role as a commissioner of a new conference, you have to be willing to reach out to people because people want to help. They've all been in that situation. They've all been in that seat. There's only 45 Division III commissioners in the whole United States. So I think, we are a group that really want to work together and help each other out. And that's been really fantastic. So I think first and foremost, don't be afraid to ask for help. Second for me is just being confident. Being confident in you got to this place because you worked hard. You know what you're talking about. You've worked hard and you've earned it. So I think it's just remaining confident, understanding that you're going to make mistakes, but learn from them and overcome them. So I think that's, another thing that I feel like I've learned over the years that really does go a long way. People respect that. And again, you have to be able to own your mistakes along the way because they will happen. That's just, human nature. But being able to accept those and move on from them in a positive way. And, some of the things that I've learned from my previous commissioner bosses is just working with individuals, just how to navigate the different personalities, the different personnel. I mean, I'm working with presidents, student athletes, coaches, athletic directors, you name it. I'm working with all of those groups. So working with the different constituencies and learning how to, read a room, read an individual, and not to get too flustered. You're never going to I don't know, hundreds of people that I'm talking to on a fairly regular basis. You're never going to have everyone going in the same direction, and you're never going to have everyone loving everything you're doing. And that's okay. You want to, get consensus, and you want to, you want to get consensus and just understand that you've got to do the best you can with the knowledge that you have. But again, I think relationships are a really big piece of college athletics on so many different levels. So just continuing to grow those relationships and continue to work with your institutions and the different constituencies across those campuses.
So we're coming in on the backstretch of Mental Health Awareness Month right now. So I want to ask you first, how are you feeling with all of the craziness going on? And, what are some things that you've been doing to keep yourself busy or sane or, whatever it may be?
Sure. I would be lying if I said, oh, everything's fantastic. I mean, it's been a struggle. Every day's a different day. I feel like everyone I've talked to probably can relate to this. Some days you're like, all right, I've got all the energy in the world. I'm going to conquer everything. And then other days you're like, all right, I'm just going to answer my emails today because I'm feeling a little low on energy. So, I've been a little bit all over the place. Overall, I work from home every day anyway, so that hasn't changed, which is I have that as an advantage because I'm used to the working from home, kind of being isolated, if you will. I also have 2 young children at home, so they don't let me think too much, and which is a good thing. They keep me going and they keep me on my toes. So that's definitely been a help for me to keep through. I have to be a support system for them too. So, and the other thing I would say that I recommend to people is, and this is something I do always, is I get up in the morning and I act as if I'm going to leave the house for work. So, whether that's working out in the morning, which I have been doing more of here during this time, working out in the morning, getting a shower, getting dressed, putting on real clothes. I'm not getting dressed up every day, but just get out of your pajamas and go at work and give yourself a space. If you can find a space, that really helps. I'm in my basement. Not necessarily ideal, but it's my own space. So those things really, really make the day much more productive. And mentally, I'm in a better zone if I kind of follow through with those things. If I was working in my pajamas every day, I would probably not get as much done. So, I think there's just some little things like that you can do. And getting outside, the weather's been fantastic. So being able to get outside really makes a difference for me too if I'm having a bad moment. If I take a walk around the block, it's amazing what a walk will do. So yeah, we're trying. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Everything's weird, but you kind of got to make the most of it and make
That's
adjustments
right.
as they come. But it's all just a moment in time, so we'll get over it, I think.
That's right. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, for sure. So our last question before we get out of here, I want to know what made you, come back to D3. I know you've been in a lot of different places, but I feel like D3 has been the theme for you and your backstory. So tell me a little bit about what made you choose D3.
Sure. Yeah. Division 3 certainly has a special place in my heart. As a former Division 3 student athlete, I think that's where it all kind of came from. Division 3 athletics is the all-encompassing experience for students. When you go to college, it's all about the academics. It's about the extracurriculars, whether that's athletics or the band or choir or whatever. All of those things are helping to develop students into professionals and to grow them as individuals. So I certainly had an amazing experience as a Division 3 student athlete, and wanted to be able to provide that opportunity for other student athletes. And so that's why I stuck with Division 3. And now, as the commissioner, I'm helping influence the experience for 7 different institutions. I certainly miss interacting with the students on a daily basis, but I find ways to continue to interact with our students and give back. Again, I think I just had such a great experience as a Division 3 student athlete, and the mission of Division 3 really sits well with me. And so to be able to provide that for future and former students, it's really important to me.
Absolutely. So, Jessica, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us today. We definitely appreciate it. Try not to work too hard down there, and we appreciate you for
Sounds
coming on.
sounds good. I appreciate all the work that you guys are doing and certainly supporting Division 3. So thanks so much and take care.
Absolutely. Take care.
So that does it for another episode of the Inside D3 Show. Thank you guys again for checking in. Stay tuned for more episodes. We drop them every Wednesday on all of our platforms. Also, stay connected on all of our platforms for any stories that might drop during the week as well. And also stay locked in for the Mascot of the Week with Sam V. Rock right after this, and you do not want to miss that. So, once again, I'm Morgan Cheatham. This is the Inside D3 Show, and we are signing off.